Independence Trail start. Over here used to be the first Hebrew school, Gymnasia Herzliya, and today on top of it we can see the first skyscraper in the Middle East. Okay? But in the beginning of the Independence Trail we have this sculpture over here without reading the sign. Okay? Anyone can tell me anything about this guy that stands over here? What does he look like?
Soldier.
A soldier, very good. What's in his hand?
Knife.
A sword. What happened to the sword?
Broken.
Broken, which is a symbol of
Defeated.
defeat. But if you look at him, he stands, strong and still, proud. The uniform of what army does he wear? So those are French army uniforms. And the name of this guy is Dreyfus. Anyone have heard of the Dreyfus affairs? Okay, so in the end of the 19th century, there is a war between Germany and France. Okay, big surprise, the French lose the war. Now, such a great nation, such as the French nation, they won't lose the war. This is what they believe. They lost the war only because there's some evil power working behind it. Someone was a traitor, and they found a traitor. He was an officer in the army, that his name was Dreyfus. Dreyfus happened to be a Jew. Okay, but he was a Jew that is very different than any other Jews at the time, or most of the Jews at the time, because he was fully assimilated to the French society. In the same time, in Budapest and in Vienna, actually, there is a guy that named Herzl. Herzl is the son of a well-educated family, and he became a very important journalist. He is fully liberated. He lived in the cultural center of the world at the time, and he believed that the solution for the Jews' problems in Europe is that every mother will convert a son and baptize him into Christianity. Believe it or not, he, by the way, was secular, did not believe in God, but he said, let's make the show and they will leave us alone. Okay? And as a journalist, he sent by his newspaper the cover, the story of the trial, Dreyfus trial, and he arrived there and he believed that this guy really betrayed his country. But when he arrived there, he heard the people in the street and they yelling and they calling. But what do they call? Do they call punish the traitor? Do they call punish Dreyfus? No, they call punish the Jew. And Herzl understands that the Jews will always be Jews in the eyes of the neighbors in Europe. Herzl believed that was prior to World War II and prior to World War I, that anti-Semitism is too strong in Europe. And he decided to start a movement that we call the modern practical political Zionism, a movement that will act in the world politically to practice and move the Jews from Europe and the rest of the world to the Holy Land, to the Promised Land. Okay? And then he would have journeys and write his vision to this land. Okay? Alt Neuland is one of them. And he will try to convince the most important people of the world to allow the Jews to establish their states over here, the German Kaiser, the Turkish Sultan, and others. And they will all say, you know what, maybe yes, no, but it didn't matter. Why? Because the most important people in the world will listen. Who are the most important people? The Jews that will hear about his ideas, and they will start. They will leave Europe 16, 17 years old. They will say goodbye to their family, goodbye to the father, goodbye to the mother, and they will arrive here to the sand dunes, to the swamp, to the marshland, to the desert, and they will start to practice and cultivate the land the way their forefather used to do, and they will build the first Hebrew city, and they will build a kibbutz, and they will build a moshav, and they will build a state. Okay, so we start Independence Trail over here with maybe the events that pushed Herzl to write his book, to come with his understanding. And Herzl was very charismatic because many people followed. People felt that something needed to change, and when he told them what needed to change, they say, wow, you're right. So they start to follow. The house over here, you can see it's have two floors and they're very different from each other. The first floor is the first house in Tel Aviv. Remember the guy that say, hey, why not to build a city? That was his house.
Oh.
He built it himself. Why? Because he was socialist. He did not believe in laborers. He did not believe that it's okay to pay someone to make your job. He wanted to make everything by himself, so he built his house himself. He would not hire people that are misfortunate. Okay, when other people start to do it, he had a lot of criticism. This is why he was not elected mayor. And later on, Tel Aviv became a success, so they added the second floor, and most people that live here did not walk. They become landlord. Because the school was so good, Jews from all over the world send their children to study in the school. So they build a second floor and they will just rent rooms for the students. Airbnb was here in Tel Aviv way before the rest of the world. Yeah.